I would also just like to comment that we have a very full agenda this morning. And in order to try to get through all of the items, it would be helpful to try to keep that in mind and expedite our comments and commentaries. Can I have a motion to accept the December budget?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Oh, I'll second it. Sorry.
Any comments? Any changes or amendments?
Is my
I just
name
have
spelled
one
right in
very
that one?
simple question under
I think so.
item number F, a capital
No,
expenditure.
it's Goldstein. I have, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
We allocated money for tables, old event tables. I just wanted to know what that meant, the old event tables.
Did you say F is
F.
what you're on?
Capital expenditure discussion?
So the capital request that I put in was to replace the event tables that are at the senior center with newer tables.
Okay.
Those ones have probably been here since the beginning of the senior center, and they're not level, so I did put in a request, I believe, for between 20 and 25 of them.
And under M,
Mm-hmm.
just a typo, the board will, we have to delete the word look. Or delete the word explore. It says look, explore. One of the two has to be deleted. Judy, did you have something?
I did.
Yes.
My name is spelled wrong. It's, my name is Goodstein, and it's recorded as Goldstein.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything further? Motion to accept the December budget meeting as amended. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed?
Aye.
So moved. Next, we have the January minutes of the Council on Aging Board. Is there a motion to accept those?
I move to accept the minutes for January.
Is there any
meeting.
discussion?
1 point.
Yes.
My name is spelled wrong.
I will get it right.
I don't think my motion was seconded, Jean.
I just have a clarification. Under item 3, the Friends are looking to have more collaborative relationship with the Council of Aging, particularly in the form of help with transportation and superintendent help. I wasn't sure what superintendent help meant. Yes.
I'm assuming that that means public facilities would be my guess. So facilities that help set up rooms and things like that.
That was my intention when I wrote it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good. Motion is on the board. All in,
Second, if you need a second.
we did. Is there a favor?
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Any opposed? So moved. Next on our agenda is the Friends representative. Maria?
Yeah, so just to this microphone over here. Oh, you want this one? This one, yeah.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to come today. When I was here last time, we brought up one specific thing with the Spirit of Shrewsbury and the senior tribute tea that has been going on for, I think this will be the 19th or the 20th year. When it started, it was a function done by the senior center. The director was the one who initiated it as an effort with the Spirit of Shrewsbury. Over the years, it has evolved to a much larger scale than what it was originally, which was simply a tea, coffee, and cookies and entertainment. It was set up as a way to honor the seniors in town, giving certificates for the Boston Post cane tradition that had been carried on for years in town. And certificates were given, and it was just a nice way to honor the seniors in town. Over the years, as I said, it has evolved to a full-scale luncheon with entertainment and priority seating at the Spirit of Shrewsbury for the viewing of the parade in front of the town hall. Now it's tented and sturdy chairs for them to be safe and view the parade. The cost has gone up tremendously. This past year in 2022, the cost to put on the event was $3,600. Where it was an event that was started at the senior center, excuse me, items that we have to pay for now, were never an issue. So I'm looking to have this kind of go back to the Senior Center and Council on Aging to help with the cost, to be able to provide this function for the seniors in town. It's very well received. They look forward to it every year. And some of the costs that I'm looking to be defrayed are costs that we incurred this year that we never had, which was paying for staff to be present. And I understand why they have to be there, custodial staff and transportation. That was always just provided at no cost. So that's basically what I'm looking for, is to have it be a joint venture, but split between the Spirit of Shrewsbury and Council on Aging. I brought the Friends into it this year, being on the board of the Friends, thinking this was a good partnership and visibility for the Friends to be involved where it is part of the senior center. I did secure funding from sponsors for the first time because the cost was so high, which I would intend to carry on and do, but it's just too much for the Friends to do it in collaboration with the Spirit of Shrewsbury. I'm looking for that component of the COA to come back on board to help with some of the cost.
Are there comments? Betsy?
Just a question, Maria, if you were able to increase your fundraising activities, would that defray the cost that the Friends has to pick up to pay for this event?
Perhaps. We are always looking for new fundraising ideas. Right now, the income that we get in on a monthly basis is far less than what our expenses are. The biggest thing we have now is, membership, which is minimal. It's a $10 membership. Holly is great about, funneling ideas to us. We've done some things in the past. Some have been somewhat successful. Some have not been successful. So we are always striving for new ideas and new ways to fundraise, which perhaps could defray the cost. But as I said, this was always a joint venture. Friends was never even involved in it. This was the first year that I brought Friends on board to help with it. And they acted basically as a sponsor. And I had secured other sponsors that donated money to defray the cost, which it did. It helped. But I'm just looking for that piece of the puzzle that was never an expense before for the Spirit of Shrewsbury, meaning the transportation and the basic use of the facility.
Alex?
I guess I'm curious if there's a staff recommendation on how and what the options would be, which funding sources we could use for this request.
So, as we talked about before, that the COA department is not given any funding for programs or events or anything like that. We can use formula grant funds if they're available. As we know, the FY24 funds, as I revised with the vote on the YMCA, the FY24 funds for the formula grant are now expended. So as you saw in all of the line items that I sent to all of you, all of that money is spoken for that year. As far as the staffing, as I've mentioned also before, we do not receive overtime funds for any of our staff. Should they work on a weekend or any kind of activity like that, they would need to be paid overtime versus taking them out of the office for a day out of the work week. I understand that in the past this was done differently, but it was done incorrectly. And this is the language that is coming from my supervisors also and how I need to run the department. Now, we know that we have the gift fund. So if the gift fund was something that wanted to be used to fund this, that would be an opportunity too. I do think that before we keep going on about where we're going to help each other with expenses, we do need to understand a better understanding of the Friends' financials, of what they have available, and just as Betsy mentioned, increasing fundraising opportunities, which the COA department in the senior center, we can help advertise and market, but we can't be part of the fundraising and requests to the community. So that's kind of like where I am right now, but I'm always open to suggestions.
Judy.
Yeah, well, first of all, I really want to thank you for being here and thank the Friends for, the Friends is our fundraising arm and we all appreciate it. Holly, you circulated a document that set forth basically the responsibilities and relationship between the Friends and the COA. And as I read it, it says that the COA is not allowed to fund Friends activities. I mean, I may have read that wrong. I'm sure other people read it, but that's what I saw that. So I think we need to discuss that.
Right. And if I may, so it is the purpose of the Friends group to help fund the activities or what we have for goals and missions for the senior center. Now, the COA department is it's a different animal, but the senior center, which is open Monday through Friday and has the activities during the day, outside of working day, things like that. So our hands are tied. We are not allowed to do any of those kind of funding.
Alex.
So as far as transportation, could someone just call up and book a ride to go to and from the event? As in the normal course, it would obviously be a lower priority in the service, but I'm assuming that's not an option.
Well, if we're staying on the discussion where Maria's bringing up for the tea and everything that's on the weekend, the problem is that our van drivers per working order aren't supposed to work over 18 hours because that would mean that they would be able to get benefits and things like that. So, and they're not. Now, every now and then, it can be something that may happen once in a while if it's avoidable, but if it's something that's habitual, we would get audited for that. So all of those things we're just trying to avoid. So for the Spirit of Shrewsbury this time, we had a van driver come in, we had two different staff members. I think we had two different van drivers, two different staff members, and then any time that there is any kind of rubbish that is produced throughout a program, Public Facilities also has to be present.
I'm sorry, did someone? Yes.
Yeah, just a quick question. Did you look into, Maria, excuse me, corporate sponsorships from some of the, the over 55 communities, Orchard Meadow or Southgate? They have vans. Would they sponsor a van to provide the transportation? Did you look into that?
No, we did have some corporate sponsors this year that I secured
Right.
because of the cost. It was Eternal Health or something like that. And we get donations every year from sponsors in town for, food items like the bean counter and, other people that donate in other ways, Danielson's for floral arrangements and things like that. I'm just wondering, in the past, what do you do when you have these programs of like the lighting, when people go around and do the lighting, and you have van transportation, where does that money come from?
So that is part of how we reschedule the van drivers that are working that day. So we actually move their hours around for that particular time. So some of the van drivers might come in a little later that day, so what they'll do is they'll do their regular route and then stay a little bit longer, is what they usually do.
So in the past, when they did this, you know, way back when it was first established, it was my understanding that the staff that was there on the weekend, they were just volunteers, as we all are from, you know, Spirit of Shrewsbury and the Friends. They just volunteered their time.
So the staff has voiced that, you know, they're there, you know, 37.5 plus hours a week, and anything above and beyond, they would like to be compensated for outside of that. And again, not taking away from their regular Monday through Friday work day schedule. So this is per request of the staff.
Question.
Yes.
If we wound up using gift fund money, are we still in the same situation and problem with them working outside of the hours during the week to be able to run the center and all the programs that we have?
So again, I wouldn't be able to give anybody the day off, and we'd have to reschedule what their work schedule would be, and that would still include my staff getting paid overtime, whether or not it came from gift funds also.
Okay.
So if we had someone doing the transportation on that day, I know we can't use municipal funds for it, but we could use gift funds to reimburse the overtime?
Yes, you could, I mean, you can put forth however you want to run, as long as any of the funds that are used out of the gift fund are for the purposes of Shrewsbury seniors 60 and over,
Okay.
we can use those funds.
What about the formula grant? Is there any option there for using money? I know you said it's used, but if we go into the next fiscal year?
So for FY '24, which starts on July 1 and ends on June 30th, 2023, 2024, the formula grant funds are already spoken for.
Yes. So if the board chooses to facilitate this with some funding, and we used gift fund money this year, could we budget formula grant funding for the following year?
I mean, I would hate to speak to FY '25 and FY '23. So I would think that this would have to be something that we discuss when it comes budget time. So, I mean, anything is possible. I still strongly recommend that we understand better the Friends finances before we put forward funding that is meant for, you know, the COA, the senior center, all of our programs and services that we provide.
And I agree. Do you have a sense of what that financial picture looks like, Maria? Can you?
What we have right now
Yeah.
available,
Yeah.
we have $20,000.
And what are your operating costs generally over the course of the year?
I don't know off the top of my head. I would have to speak to the treasurer, but I know just from our report from our meeting yesterday that the expenses were 3 times what we took in for income. So,
Okay.
but I mean, I know fundraising is a huge part, and we are struggling.
Right.
You know, it's a combination of finding a good fundraiser that will work and generate significant funds and having the manpower to be able to do it. That's always the struggle, whether it's this or Spirit of Shrewsbury or whatever.
Yes.
I have been approached a couple of times by different members, and I'm not even sure if you and I have had a discussion about putting like a tab or a page on the town website that promotes Friends. And I think if you could get me some kind of information on, like, for instance, what does becoming a member of the Friends provide? everybody knows that it costs $10, but out of the $10 for the year, what's the expectations? Where does the money go? Anything like that. And I would also suggest having it on the board with maybe even walk-away flyers, because sometimes we field the phone calls and we don't have the answers to that. But if we had something that we could refer to as a resource, I think it would be easier. And I could include that into the newsletter also, which might entice people to assist. And when I say, what are you looking for? Like if you're looking for volunteers, what are the specialty areas that you're looking for? Are you looking for somebody who maybe is part of the Moms Club that could help get the word out? So like we can line item it so it's specific to the Friends' needs. I just need a resource for it to share with everybody. Because I'd be happy to put it on our Facebook page. I'd be happy to put anything on. But I think that is a gray area that needs to be focused on for the community to understand.
We have tried that with a specific flyer, almost like a survey type of thing, but we were told not to call it a survey because another survey had just gone out. Very little response to it, and it detailed, what the volunteer opportunities were, what we were looking for, what we actually do. I mean, the Friends membership entitles them to, any of the programs that we do. So we have tried that. I mean, certainly we can revamp it and try putting it out there other places, but.
So I'm not necessarily talking about a survey, because we know that surveys, it takes time, and a lot of people don't put that into it. But more specifically, like if in the document it was to say, expectations would be to volunteer at least at one program through the year, pretty similar to what we do here at the board, that might mean an hour. Or you could do it from the comfortable, your home, if it's just, mailing out things. But I think like really getting down to the nitty gritty and, with an easy way of contacting somebody to talk to, because I think that's also difficult, because there isn't a phone number except for ours. And as I mentioned, I'm like, the email is rather difficult. So easier way to get a hold of somebody that's on the Friends board, in case there are slight questions or anything that I don't know the answers to.
Jean, if I could,
Betsy?
to that point, actually, I wanted to know more after the last meeting when you presented Maria to us, more about the Friends as an overview. And so I read the newsletter that you publish every month, but I wanted more information from that. And as I looked around, I wasn't able to find a lot more. I have the brochure, I read that carefully. So just one day, I think it was one of the snow days, I started to Google. And I started with the Northborough Friends. And they have a pretty comprehensive social media presence. And they talk a lot about what their fundraising is. They talk a lot, great ideas. They publish their financials. They, not only do they have a Facebook presence, they have an email presence, they have a presence on the website of the Northborough Senior Center. And I thought that is a model that you could take a look at to get some really good ideas.
We do not currently have our own website. We are working on it. We have someone, the secretary knows someone that is willing to actually make a web page for us. So I think totally that is lacking because not everyone, but most people will do that. They will go and see what type of a media presence.
Even just, I Googled and I couldn't find anything on Google, but Northborough popped right up. And, you might also be able to connect with somebody at the high school and have a talented student in the tech program at the high school create the website for you at no cost.
We've tried that too. It sounds good in theory, but everyone is just so busy that it just doesn't translate to actually getting done.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that's the case. But in the meantime, people don't know enough about the Shrewsbury Friends.
Yes. I just wanted to get back to my point that I was made earlier. And this is a document that Holly had circulated to us. It says, Friends groups are not entitled to make use of the COA's resources which are publicly funded. I just want to make us aware of that. I'm not sure whether that means that we can or cannot directly fund them, but Friends Group operates as an adjunct to the COA, but is not a part of it, etc. It's in the section called Public Resources. Friends is a separate entity, so secondary to that, I'm not sure that we're entitled or allowed to fund them directly, but I also do not think as a separate entity that we should be monitoring their finances.
The reason
they're
why I brought that,
they're a 501c3, so they have to file all sorts of documents. You know, if they take in a certain amount of money, they have to file with the IRS, etc. I understand the reason. I get your reasoning. I totally do. But I just think that as a separate entity, I'm not sure it's the COA's role to review the finances of the Friends.
Alex?
And I don't really think it's germane to the request for the funding from our point of view. I'm not comfortable with it at this point from what I've heard so far and based on all the good points everyone's made. And while we all certainly recognize what a valuable partner the Friends are, I'm not comfortable with this. And I don't believe there's a motion on the floor, is there?
There is not.
Okay.
Would you like to make one?
We only need a motion if there is a motion to approve. Is that right? I suppose we could have
We
that.
actually are only discussing because I recognize Maria as the Friends representative, so we're discussing her comments.
Right.
There is no motion on the floor. Minu?
I just had one question. Couldn't Spirit of Shrewsbury help us raise these funds and support your activities on that day?
We have done that. The Spirit of Shrewsbury has always sponsored this, and we've had minimal help from the COA. Friends was never even a part of this tribute tea and the Spirit of Shrewsbury. This is the first year that I brought the Friends in more or less as a sponsor of the particular event, just because it has evolved to such a huge event. But it was always a Spirit of Shrewsbury thing and the COA. Friends was never even a part of it.
And I think the seniors add, it raises the level of the parade itself when the seniors are out there. So shouldn't the Spirit of Shrewsbury make an extra effort to raise some more funds so that they can support this activity? I mean, it only
Well, we did this year, bringing on the Friends just as a sponsor, and got secured corporate sponsors for some of the other expenses because it has evolved to almost $4,000. Spirit of Shrewsbury paid pretty much everything. And the Council on Aging or Senior Center just really basically did the transportation and the use of the facility.
So if the Friends were to not do this,
Right.
would it not occur? It's not something the Council on Aging has done? Or the Senior Center?
They
So-
did.
yeah, so as Maria's saying, this did happen prior to
Right.
COVID for years.
Right.
I knew 6 months before the event that we were going to have staffing issues for this year, and I did make sure everybody understood that. And so this is where we are, and as you recall, we made it, the COA actually did many, many events that September month in recognition of Spirit of Shrewsbury, and everything that we did, we always had the logo of Spirit of Shrewsbury on every single flyer that we did, promoting those events that we were doing outside of what was happening with that weekend of the tea in the Saturday and Sunday.
Are there other comments? We probably should wind up this discussion. We've had some. So I'm hearing that people are feeling this is not something we can support financially at this point. Is that a correct assumption?
Unfortunately.
There has not been a motion on the floor, so there is nothing on which we have to vote. Thank you, Maria.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we stop about between the collaboration, so yesterday I attended the Friends meeting, and I had requested to ask the Friends if they could resume assisting paying our Memory Cafe entertainers each month as they had been doing prior. I want to say, I don't know, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, we stopped because there just seemed to be confusion. And we soon realized after we took over where the COA department was paying the vendors that were coming in from Memory Cafe, we did not realize that in order to do so, I also needed to have the treasurer's office involved along with accounting, because anybody that gets paid out of the town needs to have their W-9 submitted, and they need to be on the payroll. So every time this happens for somebody from never mind like what we do for entertainers for the COA, but the ones that Mary's doing are almost 2 a month. And it's a lot of work between the three, well, all of the departments and Mary and the performer. And so yesterday it was said that it was too much work and a little bit of chaos. But I would like to have, if I can, to request that the Friends have a bigger conversation about it to see if this is something that we can resume. In the 3 years that I've been here, I haven't asked the Friends for, any monetary assistance for anything that we're doing, but this would be a great help, especially where we are short-staffed right now, as everybody knows. But more importantly, it would help the vendors and the other departments that make paying an entertainer happen. That's my request.
So would this revert back to a reimbursement
Yes.
situation?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so just as it was done before, Mary Gerber would take the invoice from the entertainer, give it to the Friends would cut a check to the entertainer, then the Friends give me the original invoice along with the invoice that comes with the Friends, and then I process that as one vendor. So the vendor being Friends, so that would never change.
Which was how it was done
Yes.
before. And
Right.
at your request, it was changed.
Yes, and that's what I had just,
So
yep.
you want to revert back to the way
Yes,
things were.
Yes.
I don't think we need a motion on that because that's a Friends issue more than a board issue.
Okay.
All right, thank you so
you.
much. Financial reports?
So you'll see that I gave a couple of different versions of how to look at the financial reports while I'm learning Munis. So I wasn't sure if there's one in particular that you like more than the other, or if you have questions. I tried to go through and highlight it without omitting anything, without manipulating the documents in any way. And if you do have a question, just let me know which sheet you're referring to so I can open that up.
I don't really have any questions. I just find this a confusing document to understand. And I appreciate the highlighting. I think that really helps identify the specific areas that we need to pay attention to. Are there other comments? Yes.
I think we talked about this before, about also having maybe a glossary of terms for, you have a lot of abbreviations for different categories, and it might be helpful, it would be helpful to me to just understand, what a PRJ is, and you've a BUC and an API.
So just like you, I have no idea. That would have to come, I can absolutely request that from accounting or the treasurer's office, wherever that comes from. I tried to make comments in the documents. I don't know if you saw them, So if you clicked on them, it would tell you, you know, exactly, like OPX, that's operating expense. But you
Right.
wouldn't really know that. So I tried to put comments where necessary to kind of, you know, help you out while you were looking at the document. Because to be honest, just like you're learning Munis right now, that's exactly what I'm doing like every day, trying to figure it out. And the more you look at it, the more it does. And it kind of explains itself. And that's why I was really trying to say, really pay attention to the operating expenses in each of the accounts, because the deposits are pretty obvious. But you can see that, you know, the operating expenses, they're each aligned under either supplies, or I think one of them is dues and memberships and things like that on the side, so you can kind of see where I'm taking the money out. So when you have a moment, go back to the budget form that I gave everybody, and just as you see it on the Munis sheets that I gave you, you'll see it in the budget form. So under operating expense, if I say we're going to spend $1,000 for FY24 under supplies, you'll notice under the Munis that it shows the balance up there and how much money I have left to go by the end of the fiscal year. So I can always add more comments if you'd like for next month. I can also see if accounting can give us some of the you know, abbreviations for sure. I don't know if they're going to help, but I can certainly get them to you, and we can figure it out as we go along.
Yeah, digesting the information, if you really don't know what you're looking at, it's hard to analyze it. And I've looked at lots of reports and had for business and things like that, but I just really don't understand the abbreviations, and it would hopefully would help you too.
Okay.
So
Did you look at the document that I sent with the comments online? Because you can only see them if you're doing it on your computer or laptop or a phone.
okay, I just printed everything down.
Yep.
So
So I tried to, like I said, put it into the Adobe document where I can hover over different lines and kind of give you a little bit of, make it more identifiable, I guess, for everybody that's reading. But absolutely, I can do this, and I'll see what I can get for March.
that'd be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Other comments or questions?
So if we go online, so there's another way to go, like online and look at these reports in there.
So just as I sent them to you on your, so if you're even on your laptop right now, if you open it up, if you're looking at them on a device, you can hover over my comment areas, which gives a little description of what you're looking at. So to make it easier versus going in and writing all of the notes on each individual sheet.
I know, I see the pink highlights for the available, oh, okay, now I see, okay.
Thank you for all the annotations. Just on the operating expense, it's like services not classified, sounds like it is not being used that much.
So the services not classified is like, sometimes we have the piano tuner come in, or we have somebody come in to look at one of the appliances in the kitchen. So if that doesn't occur, we don't have an expense. But it's always something that I don't think about, because you never know what's going to happen over there.
If you don't use it, does it get readjusted down?
If we don't use it, it goes back to the town.
Got you. So next year you would still get it.
Yep, so, yes. So us not using, COA not using all of the funds that are appropriated to us in our general fund does not mean we don't get them next year. It just means, like, so for instance, this year, the COA department is actually going to be giving the town back money because of the formula grant. You know, it's better to expend those out of the grant and give money back to the town where we can use it where it's necessary than to keep rolling over formula grant funds when we're supposed to be using them for these purposes anyways.
Thank you.
Holly, I just have a question a little bit separate from that. The advertisements from the newsletter, what fund do they go into?
The what?
The newsletter, the monthly bulletin that comes out.
Where do we take the expenses from?
No, where does the money from the advertisements?
Oh, the advertisements. That's how we get the newsletter printed for free.
Okay.
So we do not pay for our newsletter at all. We just pay for the expenses to have it mailed.
Okay. Alex?
Can I request that we push this question, we table it till next month and receive these in this? I like the more detailed format. I forgot that you had sent the separate document on the budget with the highlights. Is that where that is? And I couldn't call it up on my tablet, so I would need time to look at that. But it sounds like we're on track with that document.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, all of the documents that I share, I always transfer over to the COA board share drive. So if you can't find them in your emails or anything like that, they are in that drive for everybody. And I try to, whenever I send an email, sometimes I forget, but I try to copy and paste it also into the drive, just so we all have it, readily available in case we have a question.
Any further questions on the financial reports?
You could, just hesitant to ask, but let me ask. With these financial worksheets, is there a way we could present it on, say, a big monitor, and then you walk us through like what items you're talking about, and if any one of us has any questions, we could answer,
It's
like, how we have meetings and we are all sharing one screen and have us.
Yep, so I could work with the people behind the scenes and see what they can do to get it up there so I can control it from my laptop and we can go through it. So I would request that we reduce the amount of sheets that I pull up during the meeting and we concentrate on like the one, and I would assume that would probably be the line item one. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the director's report.
Yep. So we are going to go right with Renee.
Okay, great. So we have a lot going on and a lot planned for the spring at the senior center. First, I want to just talk a little bit about, as I mentioned last month, there's a lot of stress among seniors in the community who qualify for fuel assistance, and we've doubled the amount of applications this year. We've done a little over 60 applications. We've done a little over 30 Share the Warmth applications. SMOC is pretty behind in processing them. In some cases, people will call, and I always recommend to go to the automated to see where they are in the status, so that because they can't get through to a person and their calls aren't being returned when they leave a message, that's usually helpful. But in a lot of cases, if they haven't even looked at the applications because it's the first that are received, that are even put into the system, it may say that they haven't received the application. And people can kind of panic because they think, well, if they haven't received it, maybe I need to do another one. But most likely it's because they have not put it into the system yet. So I get a lot of calls on that from people who are, who are struggling. So it's just trying to help people understand that, there is a process. They only have so much help over there. They service a number of towns, and that makes it difficult. For people who get fuel oil delivery, that's, a matter of emergency in some cases, because if they're not getting their fuel assistance and they run out of, fuel oil or propane or anything like that, then of course they may not have any heat. It could damage their furnace or whatever. So we have some money in the SOAR account from donations. Don't ask me what the acronym is. I don't remember, SOAR. But that's the account for people who run out of fuel oil, who are waiting for their fuel assistance to come through. And once they get down to 1/8 of a gallon or below, we can set up a delivery of 100 gallons through Al's Oil. Also, if they get down to an eighth of a tank or below, I get in contact with, through an emergency email with SMOC, to ask them to expedite their applications. Usually that works out pretty well, and once that's expedited within a day or two, they can get a delivery. We've done 6 sword deliveries this year out of the senior center. SYFS is responsible, that's Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services, for doing the fundraising and paying those accounts. I don't know what they've done for deliveries, but there's only, as far as I know, as far as about 3 weeks ago, there's probably just enough money for a couple more deliveries left for the heating season. But I think that they're actively also fundraising. So if people contact me, I can, try to get them a delivery, but in the very least, I can expedite their applications through SMOC and that sort of thing. And if I'm not available, if it's during off-senior center hours, that actually goes through the police dispatch as well. So if people, are running low, that's who they should contact, either police dispatch after hours or myself at the senior center during hours. As far as programs are concerned, I'm really excited about planning a pet health fair at the senior center. And it's going to be in May. I have connected with Second Chance Animals, and the Council on Aging, through the formula grant, is going to be hosting Second Chance's 2 mobile units. They have mobile units that go out into the community to do, rabies vaccinations and things like that. They also have what's called their Homebound program for low-income seniors, in which they provide examinations of pets and vaccinations at no cost. So we're going to have. They also have an adoption unit. So we're going to sponsor 2 of their mobile units. The one for low-income seniors to have free pet exams and vaccinations, and we will go through a qualifying process for that. They have the ability to process approximately 4 to 6 appointments per hour. So during the 4 hours of the pet health event, between 11 and 3, we're going to do it for 4 hours. They can, potentially process, up to 24 seniors through that. We will also have transportation for people with their pets who don't have, auto transportation, to bring them here to the senior center to participate. And we're also going to have the mobile unit that's an adoption event. They will bring adoptable animals. And I will also have other pet services at the center around that. It will all be outdoors. And some of the services will be, pet boarding, vet clinics, people who do dog training, just different things like that. So
Sounds fun.
yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. I've made a bunch of phone calls waiting for answers because for a lot of these, either businesses or not, if they're nonprofits, they're pretty stretched working with, with their animals at shelters and things like that. I do have at least 7 different types of pet services that have said that they're wanting to attend. And we have a tentative date for May 18th, but we're waiting for Second Chance. And I will need probably a couple of volunteers, maybe more, to help with parking again, as we did with the health fair. And also, since it is outdoors, because we can't have people coming in with their animals into the center because of allergies, we may need to have volunteers help with holding their animals as they come in and use the facility, if they need to use the restrooms and things like that. So that's one of the things we're working on. We also have some programs coming up, and
Renee, just before you go to the next program,
sure.
When you are scheduling volunteers and scheduling the events, would you send emails out?
Yes.
Just to let people know that volunteers are needed for that specific event?
Yes, I
Okay.
will do that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. So we're also having, we're also conducting our respite program now. The first date was January 20th. We got the grant. We were noticed that we got the grant in mid to late December, and it took a while to get the program up and running. Not a while, we had to do it quickly because we were trying to get set up for January. Mary Gerber is the facilitator for the program for caregivers who take the person they're caring for to attend twice a month, the first and third Friday for 3 hours to give a caregiver a break. And that includes lunch in our dining area, as well as any programming that's set up for them. It's getting off to a slow start because we did have to get this up and running quickly, and the grant only runs through the end of June. And then at the end of the month, I'll be reporting on the program. And so the first day we had, in January 20th, we had 2 residents who attended. This last time we had 4, and we'll probably have 4 or 5 again the coming Friday on February 17th. So if anybody would like to participate in the program, if you're caring for a senior age 60 and over, please contact me to see how to sign up for the respite services. And I think it's a very beneficial program. It's free, and we're at the end of the program, we're going to see whether it's something we want to continue on sponsoring at the senior center, or whether we will support other organizations who are conducting respite services at a lower cost.
And how does this coordinate with the respite services for residents of Northborough or other communities?
Okay. Yes. So the other part of the grant is we would like to support Shrewsbury caregivers in attending other respite services in other towns. So we partnered with 3 towns, Northborough, Hudson, and Marlborough, who have this program that we have modeled that against. And 3 days a week, they offer weekly respite from 11:30 to 2:30, and they provide lunch. And it's a donation. They only request a donation from people, which is $15. And for Shrewsbury residents, as part of this program, we will cover any Shrewsbury resident who is a caregiver who wants to bring their person to those to those centers. So again, that would go through me, and we will cover that donation cost.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
I would like to recommend to the board that once the stats that Renee pulls from the respite program that she's offering right now, present it to the board, and perhaps this is something where we might be able to fund this in the future with the gift fund, if there are certain, monies that we can put aside going forward so that this can continue. If it's something that Shrewsbury doesn't continue to offer, and we just support the neighboring communities that are continue to do it. So we can table this, it ends in June, right?
Yep, it ends.
So we can table this until the beginning of the FY '24.
yeah,
Which
we're
is
not
actually really
reporting.
good timing, so.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd also like to in our February newsletter, I know we don't get a lot of attendance at our in-person programs, so typically we like to have them videotaped so that it gets out to the broader community. However, this one we're not videotaping because basically it's a program that Charm is running, and Charm is a company that provides through Mass Health for seniors who qualify incontinence supplies. And so I'm hoping that that we will get some attendees, and they're doing like a little bingo program as well. And that is going to be this Thursday, February 9th at 10 a.m. So if you would, oh no, I'm sorry, that's a different one. It will be February 16th at 1 o'clock for those who would like to attend. We also have Seven Hills affiliate Family Services of Central Mass conducting a program for seniors and their families on the RSVP, that's the volunteer program for retired seniors that they do. And they do a number of things. They do outreach on fraud and scam programs, which we've had a couple, one at the senior center, one at the library. And they also have the Senior Fraud Helpline. So if seniors have a question about a company or an organization they're being contacted by, and requests for money and things like that, they can call the fraud hotline and ask about that company or organization and get real-time advice about whether they're a legitimate organization or not. They also have volunteers that they're recruiting in the towns for people to do friendly callers and things like that for seniors. That's a program that they're still trying to ramp up in the various towns. So they'll be looking for volunteers in Shrewsbury who might like to do that. So they'll be here at that time, talking about their program and seeking volunteers. And then let's see, what else? Oh, in April, we're going to have sponsor a program with the Worcester Registry of Deeds and the Worcester Probate Court on all kinds of home ownership, information about deeds, life estates, wills and trusts, things like that, what it means to probate a will, that sort of thing. Just looking at all kinds of different programs to give information to people in the community.
Do you have a date for that?
April 24th.
Okay.
Yep. So it'll be in the newsletters, of course, and online and on social media.
Okay.
She's not busy at all.
Holy. Good job.
Very good.
Good job.
Fun stuff.
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah.
Jean, can I keep going?
Sure, but I know that it's your director's report, but I know that Minu wanted to talk something about outreach, and I thought
Right.
we could sort of link that to Renee.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for adding that. So I know we have said we need to reach out to more seniors than what we are getting so far. Our newsletters are also a little low in numbers, like 2,500 when we have around over 9,000 seniors, I believe. We have substantial number of seniors, and I wanted to put that as formalize some kind of. Actually, Betsy suggested last time that we should have a committee to see how we can accurately get our numbers of senior all the time, so we can reach out to them whenever needed.
Yep. Can I just comment on that as we go? So we do have over 9,000 seniors that are 60 and over. It was 5,500 households with 60 plus seniors. So that makes it different. So we certainly wouldn't need a newsletter for every senior, but the 5,500. But right now, our contract with our newsletter company is 2,500 copies. But please keep in mind that The newsletter is shared on our social media, on our website, as well as social media website. Well, I guess
Facebook page.
Yeah, social media. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
In that survey that was sent out, how many respondents chose not to get the newsletter? Do you have any recall of that?
I don't have any recall. I'm sorry.
Because as I was going through some of them, when they were asked if they wanted to receive it, the response was no.
And I know that some of those, either they're not interested in the material, or they can go online and get it whichever way that
Yeah,
they
and
need to.
actually, that brings up a point, because, so I asked a question about how people receive and consume information, and the majority of people consume it in multiple ways, and the internet was a very big response on that. So I really do believe that the people who want to be reached are being reached, whether it's through our mailing of the newsletter, whether it's through dropping off at our 50 different locations in town, whether it's online. The 5,500 households that we're referring to also include households that are in apartment communities where we drop off newsletters. We don't mail directly to people in those communities. So they're getting it with the drop-off. So.
Is there a way we can ever get a response back from those seniors to say, yeah, their voices are heard, like they can reach to us? They might be not, I know many a times we have had events in past, and say I talked to one or two seniors and they say I didn't know about it. So newsletter is just one part, but how can we make it real time that if they want to reach us, they can reach us, whether they know even how to do it? So that's where the numbers are coming question. Like, is there like those phone numbers we have, we can reach to them? Like Holly, you said you have a way to drop off a message, like how school superintendent drops in times of snow days. But I think it goes on a voicemail or something.
Yeah, it becomes rather confusing to the seniors. And what happens is we end up getting thousands of phone calls that come in because they get anxious because it comes in as an alert or something like that. And so they don't exactly hear everything, and then they call us back. But just to answer your question, one of the biggest ways we get the word of who we are and what we do is by being seen. So being seen through paper materials, advertising. But just as Renee has finished talking, she's got so many things going on with outside partners and being visible and inviting other people because they're going to share our news, putting out extra flyers. So we have nearly 200 people on Meals on Wheels. So whenever there's a specific program, event, activity that is really particular to people that receive Meals on Wheels, and now, mind you, they get the newsletter. We always send out extra reminders. It's about my staff, myself, going out and talking to the bigger groups. For instance, Renee and Cynthia were out for a better part of an entire day at one of our benchmarks in Whittier, talking to the residents, letting them know. So them letting their families know, those families sharing. So it's something that we'll never stop doing, or we can't stop doing. But
I mean, you guys are coming up with excellent programs, and you guys are making very so much effort to come up with these programs and reaching out. But somewhere, if we had all the seniors in a list, this is our latest update. Here you go. This is
we have those.
Email or those.
So we don't have emails, but we do have from the town clerk. Everybody in Shrewsbury that has completed the census, all of their information of who's in town, and every year I get a new copy that comes out to us. So we have everybody's list with their birth dates that go down. Reminder that Donna Messier and the receptionist sent out over 2,000 birthday cards last year with the programs that we offer on the back. We also send out sympathy cards to each and every, so we receive a list of obituaries, and we send out a list to a sympathy card to all families, and let them know what we offer in the back and how we might be able to help. We send sympathy get well cards, thinking of you cards. We try to be as visual on paper as we are in person and on the website, but always looking for new ideas and, people to help us do that too.
So if with all the outreach that we do, it's all about talking about our services, our services in different ways, and reaching all these different parts of the community. We do this in everything we do, when it comes to programming, when it comes to our cards, through all kinds of media. And if people say that they don't know about a program that's going on, then I don't know how you would ever reach someone like that who is not looking at all the paper and all the flyers and all the social media and everything we do every day. I mean, we're doing a many-pronged approach to reach people.
So I understand where you're coming from, but I've also spent years and years doing volunteer work and surveys and research and things like that. And you do your best with getting out to as many people as you can. But there's also the people who don't want to be contacted. And there's many times when I get things at home that I don't want. And when you give them the things they don't want, then they're aggravated at you. So you have to balance that too. So it may be that they don't know, but do they want to know, and are they searching for it? And, maybe there are some people who are falling between the cracks, but if you're hitting all of the social media, sending out the newsletters and making them available, this is much more comprehensive than many places do, as far as I'm concerned, for being part of volunteer groups. And I think we have to be careful for the cost and the investment for how much we put into this. In other words, if we doubled the amount of newsletters but nobody's looking at them and we throw them away and we actually had to pay for them, then that's money down the drain that we could have gone into a couple more programs if somebody was really looking for it or their family member told them about it. And some people want to get out of the house and some people don't want to get out of the house or can't get out of the house. So then maybe we find some programs that are helping them. I understand where you're coming from, but just my experience over time is that we could wind up going overboard and just wasting the money. And that's part of what I'm concerned about.
If I could add one more thing to that. So what I find with programming and a lot of things is that people tend to notice information, notice things, and seek out information when they have a particular problem. So, when I have a program, which I think is a really great program on, durable medical equipment and free and loan assistance, 0% loan assistance to make your home more accessible from RCAP Solutions, or, on a mortgage program, a foreclosure prevention program, or anything like that, people are looking at it when they think they need it. That's when they contact us. That's when they attend the programs. And I think it's up to us to just have this out in the community over and over again so that when the person needs it, they will see it,
One of my concern with the social media is this has come very late in the age that they live in, 60 plus. I myself I get disgusted by social media and I don't want to go so many times. Just because of the overwhelming information. Chances are they don't like social media, or I don't know. The percentage, 9,000 is a big number, and it is that age group that lives in loneliness. 40%, I think, in your survey were single people. And I don't see any reason why they wouldn't want a newsletter, right? I mean, they're alone. They want to seek out more communication. They want company. Basically, they want to seek out the events. So that's where when I see the low numbers in the events that we organize, I feel like there is some probably we could try to see if there is a way we could improve. And then one of the best ways.
Can I make a comment on that really quick?
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know that social media, you're correct, that the older population probably won't use it. But the chances of them having a child, grandchild, or something else, or somebody else, a neighbor that might see something. Many times we get phone calls from neighbors because they saw something and they're concerned about somebody else who might not have seen it. So we do get phone calls like that, but social media is great to get the younger population that is doing all of that, which is exactly why I threw in the fun expedition Bigfoot, is to get other ideas, to take the interests of other people and kind of think outside the box for them to say, who's the Council on Aging department? What are they doing? Why are they doing this? And the other thing I just want to really mention too is I do send information to the school system, to the Shrewsbury school system. So they do share it with their email blast. They don't do flyers anymore. They share everything via email. So our flyers do get shared with the entire school system. Not every single time. I don't inundate them with our monthly newsletter or anything. But the ones that I think, the respite programs, things like that, the things that might actually just grab one or two people, if any, and kind of go from there. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to make
And we also have 15 minutes left and quite a full agenda, so we should move on. Judy?
Yeah, okay
ahead.
with moving. I'm okay with moving on, that's fine.
All right.
So, I mean, from what I'm hearing is that whatever we have is okay. We don't need to make any improvements. But I feel like we need to have their specific email or phone number, the list, and we send it out to them directly, that whatever our messaging is. Not through a social media, or assuming that they will have that information directly or indirectly, but somehow mail or a phone number so we can reach to them directly.
So Renee did just that with the survey just not even a year ago. So 5,500 households with people living in it 60 and over received a newsletter from the Council on Aging Senior Center. And out of the 5,500, we received,
1,400.
1,400. We'll do it again. And the other thing to remember, too, is the town meeting booklets go out. All of this information is shared in various ways with the annual reports and everything that we do. We're not perfect. We'll never be perfect. But the most important thing is to make sure we keep having these discussions to make sure that there's nothing falling in between the cracks. That's
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those concerns. And I think for right now, we probably will stay with what we're doing. If we feel we need a specific change in that, hopefully somebody will bring it up at the board meeting and we can talk about that. But I think we've covered, according to Renee and Holly, most of the arenas that need to be covered.
So basically, we are not going to send them in, like say you come up with Bigfoot, we cannot send them an email or a phone on their phone that, okay, this is the event that's coming up.
I could not inundate every phone number with a message saying that there's a program every time we have a program. I would not want it. It's a lot of work on my end. It's not specific to everybody. It's information that's not important to everybody. So just as Renee mentioned, it's one of those things where when you're looking for a need, even when you look for a doctor, you go online, you look for a doctor. So the information is out there, and it is up to some people to find us, not us find them.
I do worry about, as a person who receives probably over 100 emails a day because of my various interests, things, after a while, some of these organizations become a real pest. Mm-hmm. And I receive notifications on my phone. People receive in the country billions of robocalls on their phones, and it's just it's just another thing for people have to, receive. And that's we don't want to be that organization.
I think we really need to move on unless there is a motion that anyone would like to make. If not, next item is the gift fund. Holly?
Nope, number 3 is Activities Committee. Am I on the
Right here.
wrong?
Are we on the
Number
wrong?
3 is activities.
Activities.
Oh, yep. This is the one before I made the edits.
Oh, okay.
So the
All right.
Activities Committee was actually you.
Oh. This is our either second or third meeting where we've gotten to the end and we have all of the ideas and thoughts about how we want to expend formula grant, and so many of them are terrific, and we end up not having time to talk about them. And I suggested that it might be appropriate to create an activities or a program committee where a group of the board could process some of the plans or some of the ideas that were presented and bring back to the full board their thoughts and suggestions about which ones we should look at in more detail and explore further.
I have a comment on that.
Yes.
I would love assistance. We've talked about trying to make it a volunteer position, that somebody, even a senior tax work-off position. It would be a tremendous help to that collaboration and partnership with the friends that we're talking about, because I can't always be there, to assist with everything and to help with the fundraising or to come up with these program ideas. Half of the things that get done as far as the out-of-the-box programs and activities that we do, myself and my staff do it to take ourselves away from everything else that we're doing, to kind of sidetrack us so we can think about something that's a little bit more fun than, everything that we walk into every single day. It would be nice to have it enlarged with other people's thoughts and assistance to make the programs that we offer even better. I don't even have time to run a movie half the time.
Betsy?
I think it's a terrific idea, so I'd like to make a motion that we create an activities committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone like to volunteer to be on the activities? Betsy, okay. Anyone else? Arun?
Oh, good.
Awesome.
Good.
Could be an open come at your leisure. Well, at least we have 2 members, and then anybody else come at leisure.
Let's get started.
And we can, you can go to the Friends meeting. I think that would help, so you can kind of hear their ideas. I'll get you the information when they meet. Can I spin off on this with the idea?
Of course.
Some of the programs before we run out of time. So just today at noon, I am speaking with one local landscape designer to come to show the space for the community garden area over in that area. I spoke with Town Manager Kevin Mizikar. There is an email out to public facilities so that they're aware of our approach, they're aware of our desire to have something over there. What I'm going to do is ask each landscape designer, and I'm going to find 3 of them so we have comparable quotes and prices and designs, to give us 3 different designs at 3 different costs. So somewhere between like a 5,000 and 10,000, 10 and 20, whatever it is. So for all of us to look to see how big of a scale do we think that we need it? Is it over the top? Is it missing something? Can we omit something? So I want to make sure that we have a lot of ideas in front of us for exactly what everybody's vision should be for the community garden. And I really push the word community because I think that's another way we show what we're doing in town to get everybody involved. Not to mention, we need extra hands. We need extra hands to be able to maintain and create it, build it, enjoy it. So I will keep everybody posted on how that goes. And if anybody knows of a Shrewsbury landscape designer person, please have them contact me.
Just in getting back to the activities committee, we've had I don't think we'll have any time today to talk about all of the different ideas, but I'm wondering how we can best get everybody's thoughts to that committee. Do you have a listing of everything that's been identified as an idea?
Well, I have folders and folders of ideas that I've
Okay.
come up with that I can absolutely share.
Okay.
So,
We'll
just so we can move on, can I make it that I will share with both Betsy and Arun everything that I have, so then that way they can come back with any questions or anything?
Well, what about, you had asked the board for input on ideas for the formula grant, so can you share those?
Yep.
Because
what
we
I'm
only
talking about.
individually, well, Holly said I didn't understand whether it was, you said you have years and years worth of.
Just ideas that I put into a folder that I would like
Right.
to sometime do, but that's in coordination with the things that are even on this agenda right here.
Okay,
Is to
yeah,
include those things
just as
too.
long as the board's feedback gets to the committee.
And I would suggest we do the same thing, perhaps with your notes, just in case anybody wanted to go and peek. We do it on a shared drive. We can share it with the board. That way, if we did have questions, we can come to you without taking time out of all of our agenda meetings to talk about it. And maybe put it on an agenda, maybe quarterly, or as needed.
Well, probably as needed.
Just,
Okay, so congregate meals update is the next item? No.
No.
We've got the Valentine's, St. Patrick's luncheon.
Yep, so I'm looking for, oh, there it is. So the Valentine's luncheon is on Tuesday. It is a sit-down buffet, well, it's a buffet lasagna lunch. No entertainment. It's taking place instead of congregate. There are 50 meals for Shrewsbury seniors 60 and over, 15 aside for the volunteers and the van drivers that are working that day. That is that part. Due to the expense of the Valentine's luncheon, which I believe is just about $2,000, we have made the decision to omit the St. Patrick's Day meals and instead look to do one every other. So next year do St. Patrick's Day, the year after do Valentine's Day, or if something else comes up, but allowing enough opportunity for different creativity for right now, and especially where we have so many great ideas on the table to how to use the formula grant. Although everybody loves lunches, and the way to everybody's heart is through their stomach, we still have our congregate meals and we still have our food sharing pantries. So those opportunities still exist. I just wanted to also, congregate meals, you will see that we did 278 congregate meals last month at the senior center. That's amazing. That's with the increase of the respite program, the memory cafe, and the fact that we're paying for it. So people are coming.
What's the percentage increase, do you know?
Well, I know right now it's anywhere between like 30 people in a day, and before it was like 7.
Wow, okay.
So it all, that.
Over 50%.
Yeah, all of that, I mean, and like I said, look at the difference that it's making. People coming into the senior center, and what we have noticed is an increase in those that attend the programs before lunch and after lunch, and there's many more people congregating in the lobby area while they're waiting for lunch. And as Renee said, there's always so many moving parts that you can't help but learn something that we're doing while you're even sitting in the lobby area. I did want to ask just a quick question. I think I only received 1, maybe 2 responses, the annual report. So I just had a couple of my volunteers go through and do the proofreading because I needed it. So I did resubmit with no questions or anything like that. I did resubmit with the edits that will be part of what's part of the annual report.
Is that what was attached as one of the attachments to your email?
Not today. Oh, wait, did I?
Yes.
I did
Yes,
attach
you
it,
did.
yes.
If so, I read it. I didn't realize you were
Yes.
looking for edits, or I thought it read
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
So-
so my thing was in case anybody had any questions, comments, or whatever. But I do know that these people are going to end up coming in here.
Okay, so the formula grant expenditures, we can table and send over to the newly created committee. Is there anyone that has any new business they would like to address?
Point of order, we're skipping over gift fund, healthy living, community expenses, which is fine with me. I'm just pointing that out.
So that's going to be part of what I can end up talking with Betsy and Arun about. That was part of the formula grant expenditure ideas, which is like the community garden that I'm going to be talking with that person today. So all things that will be shared, I'll share with them, and we'll share collectively as a board.
So thank you for bringing that up, Alex, but how does the gift fund factor into the formula grant?
Me too.
This is the you don't have the.
I don't have the
edited.
corrected copy.
Yes.
Okay, never mind. Okay. Any old business?
I have old.
Judy?
Excuse me. We had requested that the policy and procedure document be put on the COA webpage. Can we,
It's up there.
I didn't see it.
It is. It is up
Where?
there. I had assistance from the town manager's office. You might have to go through the COA page, but it is linked
I did go to
under
I went to the
board.
COA page, and then on the side, there's a menu. I went to COA board, and I didn't, it's not.
No, it's the. I would
Oh.
invite you to just check again because
All right.
I did make sure because I wasn't exactly sure how to put it up, so I requested from the town manager's office, and then I ended up putting it up, and we put it up twice, so I know that there's at least one of them up there.
I tried as well. I went through the COA board, and it didn't come up.
You know what I'll do when I get back to the office? I'll send a link to where
Okay.
it is.
The new website is not very well navigable. I always have to, every time I get questions about, about the personal property tax exemptions, and I decided to copy it into a Word document because I have a hard time finding it every time. It's awful.
I went to the Council on Aging website. I'm on the Council on Aging. And so you're saying it's on the general town website?
You got to go to Shrewsbury, Mass website, go under Council on Aging, and then the tabs, you see the COA board. You hit on that, and then you'll see, it will say other forms or documents.
Okay.
That's what I tried, and we'll try again.
Yeah, and I'll get the link and I'll share it with everybody.
Okay, thanks.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting will adjourn at 11 o'clock. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.